hear from you. Give us a call. Let us know what's on your mind this afternoon. A lot to talk about. You can give us a call on our AO Tourism hotline here at 1-888-9-TIGER-9 toll free, or locally at 334-887-3401. We'd love to hear from you. You can check us out on our Facebook page, or you can just send us a tweet at Sportscall AU. But first things first, Auburn, the Sports Call is brought to you by Always Money. Always Money offers title loans, cash advance loans, Western Union services, and they buy your gold. Visit one of their many convenient locations or visit them on the web at alwaysmoney.com. Always Money, easy, convenient, friendly, and fast. Again, we appreciate all of you out there joining us this afternoon. You can give us a call. Let us know what you think about what's going on right now in Auburn. Of course, it is National Signing Day Eve. How will Auburn close tomorrow? Auburn's still in on quite a few blue-chip recruits out there. About 20 commitments, I think, for the Tigers right now, with DeAnthony McGriff decommitting yesterday. So about 7 or 8 spots for Auburn to fill, with plenty of big-time prospects out there. It could be a very, very good day for Auburn tomorrow, or it could be a disappointing day. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. So give us a call. Let us know how you feel about that. The Patriots, of course, win the Super Bowl this past Sunday, 28-24 over the Seahawks. What an incredible game that was. So many twists and turns in that game. A lot to talk about. Certainly we'll give our thoughts on that as well. It's come out that there's going to be some updates to Jordan-Hare Stadium, apparently. At least there's going to be a meeting about that Friday, I believe, to decide exactly when what exactly is going to take place. There's talk from Jay Jacobs that Auburn is seriously talking about putting in a scoreboard that will be operational for the 2015 season, which it will be the biggest scoreboard in college football today. There's some renderings of it out there. I'm sure that you can check those out if you'd like. Jason Caldwell will join us at 4:30 to discuss everything going on. Certainly we'll talk about the majority of recruiting, everything, how he feels about everything going on, and how Auburn will close tomorrow. We'll kind of open the show with that today. That it is National Signing Day Eve. It's a big day tomorrow. It's going to be fast and furious. It'll begin very early tomorrow and pretty much go throughout the entire day. Auburn right now hovering about, I think, 11, 12, 13, somewhere around in there is nationally as far as their ranking is concerned right now. But Randy, with 20 commitments, about 7 spots left, Auburn hoping to close strong.
Needing to close strong. And when you've got some of these big key prospects out there that you've been after all season long, it takes a great coaching staff like we have with those dynamic personalities to go out there and to close strong. I don't know if you saw Godwin on Saturday. I saw some pics coming through, and Damian Craig and Gus Malzahn heading out to the basketball game, and got a big embrace as he came into the stands. And, it's funny how you watch and you see photos and you watch interactions between kids, and you try to fill in and determine where they're going to end up. I remember Rashaan Evans so clearly last year, how that one played out at the end. But, Andy, that's what's fun about this. It's almost become a sport. Many of us, I wouldn't put myself at the top tier, but I am one of those that keep up with it pretty much all year long, especially the in-state recruits. But there are many out there that, and these are national pundits. I was listening this afternoon to Scott Van Pelt, and they don't talk as much college football, but it was brought up, and he knew all of them. He knew where they were. He'd watch film on them. And so it has become really a national phenomenon to see what will happen tomorrow. From the start at 8 o'clock in the morning, Byron Cowart, one of the first ones to go out. Hopefully he pulls that Auburn Tiger hat and puts it on the table and puts it on his head. But it will continue throughout the day. And I think that a lot of people, it's kind of funny, a lot of my friends, I think they joke about it, but I'm not sure a few of them may do it. They take tomorrow off. Do any of you out there riding around, are you taking recruiting day off tomorrow from work? I bet there are some out there, Andy.
They probably are. I mean, this is the one day, it's like the Final Four or March Madness. People are glued to their computers, glued to their televisions for the entire day, trying to hide, just sneak a peek every now and then, refreshing their computer as often as they possibly can to see. And that's kind of the nature, of the way things are nowadays, because you never quite know until today which way a recruit is going to go. And even if they do announce on national TV, they may not come to your school. It's all about when that fax comes in with that signature on it. So give us a call. Let us know what you think about it. 1-888-9-TIGER-9, toll free locally at 334-887-3401. And we'll go to the AO Tourism Hotline.
Ed, you're on Sports Call.
Hey guys, I just walked in with a friend of mine, and I heard y'all saying 20 commitments. Now, is that counting Prince?
That is, well, it's 21 now if you count him. I was not counting him. We were going to talk about his recent commitment today. But, yeah, with DeAnthony McGriff dropping out and then Tega coming in, that is 21 now.
Okay. Okay. I was just wondering if another kid had decommitted or something that I hadn't heard about. But, yeah, the next, it's almost like what do they call it, Cyber Monday, after Thanksgiving, as far as men go, as far as like a lot of work getting done at work tomorrow, even if they're there, if they're big football fans, they're going to be watching these sites and keeping up. And I think the earliest, I was going to ask y'all this. I've heard that they start like at 8 o'clock in the morning. Is that Eastern or Central?
I believe Byron Coward is 8 o'clock Central. I believe I saw that Darius Slayton, the receiver from Georgia, is going to be like at 6:30. But I don't know if that's confirmed or not. But from the big dog on ESPNU, though, that Byron Coward, I believe that's Central, 8 o'clock Central.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to see us getting Prince, 6'8", and the frame he's got. And I think I know he's got broke leg, it's going to be probably a red shirt, to really, really get him, totally back. But I think it's a great pickup for Auburn. And I was going to ask y'all's opinion. I know D end is for a lot of people, but do you think that Malzahn will play around with him at tight end or H-back?
Probably not. With Chandler Cox and some of the other guys at H-back. And I think, well, it depends, I guess, but to see how he develops. But because he is so raw, but at his size and athleticism, I think they are pretty much dreaming about him being a defensive end.
Okay. And I saw where he ran like a 4.6. The first time, and just, straight tennis shoes, that's pretty impressive at his size. But hey, I appreciate you taking my call, and War Eagle, and I'll be listening, and thank you.
War Eagle to you, Ed. We appreciate the phone call this afternoon. Back to the phone lines. Luke, you're on Sports Call.
Hey guys, how are y'all this afternoon?
Good to hear from you, Luke.
Yeah, looking forward to tonight's program. I don't know if Randy's told everybody yet, but we'll have John Garcia on from Scout.com to discuss all things recruiting. We'll also have Taylor Hicks on to talk a lot about football and basketball and everything else. He's more than just an American Idol winner. He's a big sports fanatic, and he's really excited about joining us tonight.
Well, Luke, we're glad to have you on. And, hey, are you taking tomorrow off? I know that you're a recruit, Nick.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm going to take it off, but I'll definitely have my screen set on I'll have a few different browsers open. Let's just put it that way. But, the one thing that I love about recruiting every year is the surprises and is the fun and the drama. And it's funny. I was thinking about it earlier today is you brought up Terry Godwin, and I thought, I wonder if Auburn fans are going to have the same feeling about him as they did for somebody like, say, a D. Liner who just left the Alabama program this past week. If you remember, D. Liner was committed to Auburn for a long, long time, committed there early in the process. And then he switched his commitment to Alabama, and he caught a lot of flack for that. He took a lot of venom, took a lot of hate. And Terry Godwin's really in the same position. He was committed to Georgia forever. Been committed to Georgia for a long time, been a Georgia guy, and there is a chance he could flip to Auburn. But it's funny, when it's your team, nobody seems to get upset about it. And he's only a traitor if it's not your team. And I don't mean to pick on Auburn. I mean this for anybody. That's what's so funny to me about recruiting, how people take it so personally. I remember the Rashaan Evans ordeal last year. He never even committed to anybody in the beginning. He never committed. When he committed to Alabama, that was the first team he had committed to. And the backlash that he took was absolutely unbelievable. And no 18-year-old who didn't do anything wrong shouldn't have to do that. And I feel the same way if Byron Cowart were to choose Auburn tomorrow. I mean, there's a guy that's been a Florida fan. And if he chooses Auburn, I mean, he just thinks that's what's best for him. And it's just, recruiting is just so funny that way, that it stirs our most primal emotions, really.
It does, because you don't like Auburn fans and we don't like Bama fans. And it really does go to that. And it goes to that on a much different basis than a game day, Andy. It goes to it on 17, 18-year-old kids, but those 17 and 18-year-old kids are what make up your team one day. So it's so very important. And we've seen it over the years, how big of a difference it makes. And who knows where this thing will be 10 years from now. It's amazing what's happened in the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah. Look, I clearly remember being a student in Tuscaloosa in the early 90s and having to sit out in my car and try to position my car just right so that I could pick up an AM station just to hear the Forrest Davis recruiting report, which came on only on Thursdays at 8 o'clock at night. So I remember that very, very well, because at the time I was the only one out there paying attention to recruiting. I mean, at least in my circle of friends, everybody thought I was nuts. They'd say, yeah, that guy, I've heard about him. He's supposed to be pretty good or whatever. But I mean, I remember distinctly remembering star rankings, et cetera, et cetera. And that was when there was only one or two options out there to know anything about them. And now you can't turn on your computer without getting a pop-up ad for Scout or Rivals or somebody.
Luke, we appreciate the phone call this afternoon. Look forward to hearing you tonight.
All right, guys.
And let's go through this real quick. We had a quick question from Ed earlier, and it is fun to watch these recruiting announcement times and to know so many of them have Auburn in the final three. And it starts with Byron Cowart. That's at 9 a.m. Central Time. That's on ESPNU. It's down to Auburn in Florida.
9 Central?
It says 9 a.m. Eastern, so it's 8. Okay, yeah, 9 a.m. This is Eastern Time. So let's continue to go down this list. Terry Beckner, defensive lineman's 10 a.m. Eastern Time, so 9 a.m. So we've got 8 a.m. for Byron Cowart, 9 a.m. for Terry Beckner. Ryan Davis, the wide receiver, that one's at 9 a.m. Carlton Davis, the cornerback, that one's at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Martez Ivy, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. That one will be on ESPNU. As you continue down this list, Auburn is in the thick of things. C.C. Jefferson will be at 1 p.m. again on ESPNU tomorrow afternoon, and we'll see if there's any more. I don't think there's any more that are listed throughout the day tomorrow that will be on television, but that's 4 or 5 big ones there for Auburn, Andy.
I think Godwin is not until like 5 tomorrow afternoon, so it's going to be, Gus Malzahn has a press conference scheduled, I think, for 3 to talk about the signing class. So it's possible that maybe, he's talking about this with a spot open to see what Terry Godwin does. Or maybe Auburn's filled up by then. Who knows? It's one of those situations where Auburn is in, like you said, on so many of these high-profile recruits, and you just assume that you're not going to get them all. But what if everything fell right? What if Martez Ivy did what people don't expect and picked Auburn instead of Florida and Byron Cowart? What if that package deal that they talked about actually came to fruition, and Holland, Byron Cowart, and C.C. Jefferson came to Auburn? Auburn's certainly not going to turn them down.
No.
So it could be very interesting to see how it all came through. Or maybe there's some guys out there that Auburn may miss on in the morning, and you may hear a name that you haven't heard before of a guy coming in and certainly signing in this class. They're always, like they say, it's always surprises on National Signing Day. But, it begins very early in the morning tomorrow. And like we talked about last week, that Byron Cowart announcement, I said this, he's the linchpin, and if Auburn, if he commits to Auburn at 8 o'clock in the morning, Auburn's running downhill the rest of the day, because I think that one means the most as far as, the needs that Auburn has in this class and the high profile nature that he is. So if he picks Florida, Auburn's kind of running uphill the rest of the day, and it is going to be, I don't know. I think we need to prepare ourselves at least for the possibility that Auburn whiffs on, all these big-time recruits and hope for the possibility that Auburn lands all these big-time recruits.
888-9-TIGER-9, 334-887-3401. Phone lines are open the remainder of the program outside of 4:30 to about 4:45, which we'll have Inside the Auburn Tigers Jason Caldwell on. Look forward to catching up with him. Hopefully he can give some insight. Maybe he's talked or has found out some inside news, and looking forward to talking to Jason here in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, up against our first break here, but don't go anywhere. There's more Sports Call presented by Always Money right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tuesday edition of Sports Call. Andy and Randy here with you until 6 o'clock, taking your phone calls at 1-888-9-TIGER-9 toll free or locally at 334-887-3401 on the AO Tourism Hotline. Sports Call today brought to you by Auburn Urgent Care. Auburn Urgent Care offers convenient solutions for your health care and occupational medicine needs, including workman's compensation injury care and certified DOT medical examinations. With locations on South College and in Tigertown, visit them online at auburnurgentcare.com. Our question of the day today, we'll actually do kind of a 1 and 1A. I think that Randy had a good one. Are you taking tomorrow off? That's a good question of the day, but kind of in conjunction to that, when the dust settles, where will Auburn finish tomorrow in the recruiting rankings? What's your thoughts on that? Give us a call. Let us know. 1-888-9-TIGER-9 toll free locally at 334-887-3401. Just a tremendous Super Bowl this past Sunday. I always root for classic confrontations. I love when it's a good game. You know, growing up for us, there were always blowouts. The Super Bowl was never any fun to watch. But the last 10 to 15 years, almost every game, despite, not counting last year, has been a phenomenal game. And I didn't really have a dog in the fight, but I will say on record that Friday I did say the Patriots 28-27, and I was just hoping they were going to get a field goal there and really make me look like a genius. But, as coming down the stretch, I just thought I found myself pulling for the Patriots.
I think a lot of people did, and I don't know if it's because of the actions of Seattle on the field. And I'll bring that up to you, and I'll bring it up to our listeners out there. I think that Seattle and a lot of things they do out on the field, it helps them. And Pete Carroll must cheer it on because USC did it and Seattle does it, and that's just kind of how they're built in. But for a lot of the fan base out there, they become the bad guys, and then whoever they're playing is the good guys. Do you get that feel? At least that's from my my friends. That's what I heard.
I got I think that's pretty accurate.
When you watch defensively, Seattle's outstanding, but the Patriots made as many plays down the stretch to keep themselves in the football game. And then tip your hat to Tom Brady. Is he as good as we've ever had? And he was 37 of 50 for 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. One of them was terribly thrown ball, but the other one was really a pretty good thrown ball. Just an outstanding play by Wagner to pick that one off in the middle of the field. But when you look at numbers, Tom Brady, Joe Montana is not in the ballpark of Tom Brady. If you want to throw numbers around, now if you want to play, just sheer watch what they did out on the field, then you can do that, or you can go back and you can say, well, it's a generational thing. They didn't throw the ball as much back then. Pull up old 49ers game. They threw it around a pretty good bit, and Roger Craig was their running back. I think he caught as many passes as he did running the football. But where does he fit in? Is he this 4th Super Bowl's got to put him right up there at the top in my book, Andy.
Oh, yeah, I think he's in as rarefied air as there possibly can be. I wouldn't put him ahead of Joe Montana, though. Joe Montana won 4 Super Bowls. He played in 4 Super Bowls. You know how many interceptions he threw in 4 Super Bowls? 0, I'm going to say. Joe Montana, just look, yeah, his numbers don't compare overall in the grand scheme of things, but when it comes to, like they say, Joe showed up in the playoffs when it counted the most. And I think Terry Bradshaw, people, his numbers don't compare as well, but it really was a different game back then. He's won 4 Super Bowls too in 4 tries. So I'd put Terry Bradshaw. Look, as far as winning quarterbacks are concerned, I don't put Brady above those guys, even though he's made it to 6 Super Bowls. But I don't know. It's such a subjective thing. I think certainly he's there. I don't put him behind Montana anymore either, but I don't put him ahead of him. He wins another Super Bowl, which he very well could do. They could win 2 more, really. So you just look at the way the Patriots operate. But anyway, going back to the Super Bowl, though, there's coming down the stretch there were so many things that could have happened, so many things that did happen. Number one, the catch. It was incredible. I mean, and everybody has talked about this, and this point has been made over and over. But I mean, you just when that happened, and then they showed Brady on the sideline just shaking his head, you couldn't help but think, this. How can this happen
again?
3 times in the Super Bowl for some miraculous catch to take place, and it's going to cost the Patriots a game. And I was sitting there, and when the Patriots got to the inside, the 10-yard line, or down to the 1-yard line, and they on first down, and I was sitting there thinking, how can you got to call timeout. I mean, you have to call timeout because there's a minute to play. You give Brady, I mean, they'll score, they'll go up, and you give Brady a minute to go down and kick a field goal. Absolutely. We go into overtime, and we'll see how it plays out. But how did you not? I mean, I don't know if I'm more impressed that he didn't call the timeout or just wondering how can you not call the timeout?
I can say this, that I've caught myself up calling football games over the years. One that jumps out to me, and if Brett was on air, he would agree. Hoover was playing Prattville for a state championship a few years back. Justin Thomas was quarterback for Prattville. Prattville wins a state title. Hoover has the ball inside the 1, about a minute left to go in the football game. Clock's rolling, and I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, how in the world are they not calling a timeout to give themselves an opportunity to move it down, at least give themselves a chance to score? Kept letting the clock tick. They walk the ball into the end zone off the left side, and they throw an offsides penalty, or they throw a jump, and they pull it back 5 yards. Hoover ends up having to kick field goal to win the football game, and they miss it. So this is multiple times that I've seen it over the years where you're going, I don't know how a coach is sitting over there watching, because if I put myself in Belichick's shoes, I'm calling the timeout. I'm giving the ball to my best player. I'm saying if I lose it, I'm going to let him walk in. You go back to the Green Bay game against Denver. Terrell Davis just allowed to – maybe he wasn't allowed to, but you and I could have scored easily from there, and he just walks in, and Green Bay gets football back. Denver intercepts the ball, and they win the football game. But that would have been the decision I've made. But more times than not, the defense allowing them the chance to stop or something crazy to happen has worked out. And what a play by Malcolm Butler. West Alabama graduate, unreal that he moves on, just has very little opportunities out there and gets his chance on the biggest stage. And for that to have happened to him on the previous play, on that catch that you're bringing up, and for him to keep his wits about him and to make that type of a jump on the ball that he made in the end zone, he deserves all the accolades he's going to get from that.
There's no question about it. And here's the funny thing about it. If Belichick does call the timeout, I don't think there's any doubt that Seattle runs the ball. Because, number one, they want to take more time off the clock, and they probably would have scored. Now, the Patriots, if they would have had a minute, likely they would have gone in and kicked field goal, and you went into overtime. So maybe they wouldn't have won the game either way. But with, like you said, with Belichick having the discipline not to call the timeout and just putting it on Seattle to say, time's running out, what are you going to do? It's all up to you. And I don't give Pete Carroll and the offensive coordinator a pass. I know a lot of people have said, I understand what and all this. Marshawn Lynch was, from the 1 yard line during the season, he only scored 5 of 12 times or something like that. And it makes sense, I guess. And they said, a lot of teams in the NFL have thrown it from the 1 yard line. In that situation, and looking at what just took place, you've got to give the ball to You've got a timeout. Throw the ball on third down if you need to, but give the ball to Lynch from the 1 yard line. There's no question he would have scored, and they'd have won the game. Yeah, people say you don't win or lose on one play. They lost the game on that one play.
Yeah, worst case scenario, you allow Russell Wilson to make a little read option there also. And how many times did you see in the football game? And every time Russell Wilson, some quarterbacks just have that innate ability to read where a player is. He never looked like he was panicked. He'd just dart out of there, and he'd be off on a 15-yard run. It's amazing. He's an outstanding player. It's funny to look back. Auburn picks up Cam Newton back in 2010 and move on for a national title. What would have been? And, look, it may not have happened, but trust me, we were sitting on programs much like this saying, Russell Wilson, it's either Auburn or Wisconsin, and Auburn looks like they got a great chance. And if he does end up there, it sure would be a coup. Two of the top quarterbacks in the entire league were sitting there as potential replacements there during that Auburn stretch. Auburn gets one, doesn't get the other. Russell Wilson's played for 2 Super Bowls and looks like he's destined for even better things as we move forward because he plays his best ball in the biggest games.
Yeah, they won a national title with one and won 3 games when the other didn't come.
That's right.
It worked out better when he did come. Up against the break here. Hopefully when we come back, we'll be joined by our good friend Jason Caldwell from Inside the Auburn Tigers. Get caught up on everything, see how he thinks Auburn will finish their recruiting season tomorrow. Be sure to join us. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. More Sports Call presented by Auburn Urgent Care right after this. p.m. Monday through Friday, and 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday. ReinhardtPrattville.com. Reinhardt Prattville, where we sell to sell again.
Auburn Urgent Care, located on South College in Auburn and on Enterprise Drive in Opelika near Tigertown, offers convenient solutions to your health care and occupational medicine needs. We offer workman's compensation injury care, and we have a certified DOT medical examiner on staff. And we're open 7 days a week to best serve you. Call us today at 334-821-3221. It's not about speed, it's about the quality of care. Auburn Urgent Care.
Are you in need of a mortgage to purchase a new home or possibly refinance your existing home to save some money? Call Hometown Lenders of Auburn. We offer a wide selection of loan programs and services that we customize to your individual mortgage needs. At Hometown Lenders of Auburn, we get your loan done quickly, efficiently, without the hassles that you experience elsewhere. 334-521-8213, HTLontheplains.com. That's Hometown Lenders of Auburn, your hometown mortgage lender. NMLS 65084.
Experience and knowledge from the pros. Russell Do-It Center and Building Supply.
Russell Do-It Center and Building Supply, locally owned and operated with over 30 years of experience, is very involved in giving back to our community. Our employees offer top-notch customer service with superior product knowledge, no matter the size of the job. Russell Do-It Center and Building Supply have you covered.
Experience and knowledge from the pros. Russell Do-It Center and Building Supply.
Over the years, SNS Tire has grown into the Lake Martin area's largest volume tire dealer. SNS Tire offers the industry's best brand names: Michelin, Goodyear, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Firestone, and much, much more. The tire pros at SNS offer professional installation and the region's best price. In addition to your tire needs, SNS offers full automotive mechanical work for all your vehicle maintenance and repair needs with the area's most experienced staff. Visit either of our 2 locations on Cherokee Road in Ellick City or at South Street in Dadeville. At SNS Tire, we're installing peace of mind for every customer we serve. Every job, every day.
So you may not know it, but you've seen our work everywhere. For a combined 50 years, Sign Source has been Central Alabama's premier option for all your sign needs. Custom signs for your business, club, or organization. Wraps and decals for your vehicle or boat. Full-color banners for your big sale, or photo collage on canvas for grandma. All with fast, friendly, prompt service. Check out our website at signsourcenow.com. 888-533-6758. Go straight to the source.
This segment of Sportscall is brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Here's to a one-of-a-kind Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper is a proud sponsor of the College Football Playoff. Dr. Pepper, always one of a kind.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sports Call on this Tuesday afternoon. Andy Graham here with you for another hour and a half, taking your phone calls at 1-888-9-TIGER-9 toll-free or locally at 334-887-3401. We'll pick up your phone calls in the next segment. Right now, though, we're going to welcome in our good friend Jason Caldwell from Inside the Auburn Tigers on the AO Tourism Hotline. Jason, how are you today?
Hey, Andy, I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty well. Getting excited. It is National Signing Day Eve. Can you remember, I guess, a more anticipated signing day for Auburn in recent memory?
No, there's not many that have this much unknown excitement and all the things that you're looking for going into signing day. This one has about everything you're looking for. It's going to be a crazy day, a wild day. I think Auburn fans, the coaches, everybody hoping for a massive day. Not hoping for a disappointing day, and normally winds up somewhere in the middle. When you have that many guys on board, you're not going to get them all. So I think it's going to be a good day. Could be a great day because Auburn has a chance at just that.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some recent developments. Auburn loses a commitment and gains a commitment in the last couple of days. Just talk a little bit about DeAnthony McGriff and his decommitment. There's some talk that it was due to academic issues. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think, it's, a lot of it there. I think, a guy that was going to have to do a whole lot of work to get in. This time I think they wanted him to maybe explore some options, do some different things, and maybe prep school, look at that, possibly junior college. And so I think he just decided he might end up signing somewhere else. You know, he's a chance he could, just end up signing with Florida, or he could be a guy that doesn't sign anywhere and, sees what happens down the road for him. So a good football player, was really bothered by knee injury all year, and they kept him out for much of the season. So it'll be a little bit, battle for him to get back and get ready to go anyway. I think he'll be fine, but, more than likely going to have to start his career at, prep school, junior college level.
Prince Tega Wanago Jr., it was long said that his recruitment would go well past signing day. He would probably not sign with anybody tomorrow, but it seems like maybe that has changed now. He is committed to Auburn. Is that correct?
That's correct. Talked to Coach Bobby Carr today at Edgewood Academy. Prince Tega committed today, decided that, he knew where he wanted to go to school. He visited LSU. Been to Auburn a couple of times unofficially during the fall, came back last weekend for an official visit, decided that's what he wanted to do. And so he's going to sign in the morning about 7:45 or so, go ahead and get his done. And I think for him, while a lot of kids, they talk about NFL, where am I going to play? What am I going to do? For him, it's just basic needs. He's a guy that doesn't know much about football, only played football for a year. The first football game he really ever saw, he played in. And so because of that, it was more about family environment, comfort level, and that was where Auburn was. And plus, he's going to be much closer to home, 45 minutes away or so. So I think that was big for him as well, to be close to his guardians and people that he's got to know at Edgewood. So I think in the end, comfort level, decided, I don't need to wait any longer. I know that's where I want to go, and so he's going to sign in the morning.
We got Jason Caldwell from inside the Auburn Tigers joining us here on Sports Call this afternoon. That puts Auburn in, I guess, 21 commitments. We've said for a while now that 27, 28 possibly is the number to look for. So, that leaves, 6 or 7 slots available. But a lot of guys out there still on Auburn's board, like we've talked about, a lot of guys from the national scene that are going to be down to Auburn and one other school. In most situations, it seems to be Auburn and Florida. So I'm going to give you some names. You just tell me, how important, as far as you don't have to give a percentage, but how important is this guy to Auburn's class? And maybe, you can give me a percentage about what, Auburn's chances. So we'll start with the big fish, Byron Cowher.
Huge. I mean, you look and this guy, Auburn, the need for pass rush, somebody to come in and help out with Carl Lawson on the other side and provide a push. It's a massive need in this class. So, because of that, you look and he's about as important as anybody right now. As for percentages, I don't know. I just think Auburn has a great shot. I think Auburn has been in the mix there for a while. So I think Auburn has a really good shot at getting Byron Cowher on signing day. So
it's down to Auburn and Florida, right? So it's at least 50-50.
It is. I think Florida State's still a little bit in the mix there, but I think it's just about a 2-team race for him.
All right, Martez Ivey.
That I think really important, just the fact that you don't find many guys with that athleticism, at offensive tackle, a guy that has a chance to be, an NFL type guy. So that makes him, I think, a need guy based on just his talent alone. So that one, I think, is as much of a toss-up as you can have. That one's definitely Auburn, Florida. It has been for the last couple of months. And, it's just really down to a couple of things for him. You look at it, Florida's where he grew up, talking about playing, wanting to play, wanting to go to school. It's close to home. But Chandler Cox is his best friend, basically like his brother, and he's already on the Auburn campus. He has a comfort level at Auburn, and I think if he didn't like Auburn so much, this thing would have been done months ago. And I think that's the one thing now for him. Go to sleep tonight, wake up tomorrow, decide which one it is. And so because of that, this one could be a toss-up until he puts pen to paper.
Well, as you just said, obviously defensive line, an enormous part of this class, and an important part as well. CC Jefferson has talked about, we've talked about him kind of being a long shot. How long of a shot is it?
Another one that I don't really know if anybody knows other than him, and he might not know at this point. So that makes it anybody's guess. Auburn is in the mix. Florida and Ole Miss seem to be the two teams that are thought to be the leader there. Alabama's still in there. You visit LSU. I mean, there's a lot of schools still involved here. And, he's kind of gone out and played and, put pictures of different things up the last couple of days. But you notice he hasn't done anything with Auburn, hasn't done anything with Florida, and hasn't done anything really with Ole Miss. And so I think it may be those three teams. And really his could depend on what happens in the morning. I don't think there's a group of guys, a package deal in place. But if Byron Cowart, you look at him, if Martez Ivy, if a guy like Ryan Davis, a wide receiver from down in St. Pete, if those guys are already in Auburn's class mid-morning before C.C. Jefferson makes his choice, it might could change things for him. I think that's a possibility. I think, something like that could happen. So I think it's still wide open, but I would lean Florida or Ole Miss right now.
Auburn with already, I think, depending on how you look at it, I guess Montavious Atkinson, I don't know if he's projected as a small linebacker or a big safety, but Auburn with
he's going to be a safety.
Okay, so Auburn with three linebackers, really commitments right now. What about a guy like Jeffrey Holland? How important is he to this class?
Yeah, I think he's a guy that you look another guy from a talent standpoint because he's a little bit different. He's a big physical guy that could drop down and play defensive end if you need him to. He could do a lot of things, and so I think because of that, he's a guy that you look for. I like Auburn's chances here. I think the same kind of schools involved Florida, maybe Ole Miss a little bit, but I think it's Auburn, Florida for him too. And I think Auburn's got a really good shot at Jeff Howland.
Auburn with all of a sudden 5 really offers out there to receivers, and all of them are pretty impressive as well. I might just give you Ryan Davis, Terry Godwin, Darius Slayton, Deion Kane, and Ray McLeod. How do you see those guys? I mean, do you already think Auburn has a better chance at one than the other?
Yeah, I think right now, I think probably the highest percentage I would put on somebody would be Ryan Davis. I think him and Cowart are close friends. I think he really likes it. Florida's been there for a while. Florida stayed a little bit in the mix. His brother played there, but he's known Namely Craig for a long time. And so I think that could be the difference there. So I think Ryan Davis probably the most likely guy. Darius Slayton, Auburn's made a really strong push for him. A guy that's from the Atlanta area, the cousin of Darryl Crawford, who played linebacker for Auburn in the late 80s, early 90s. So got some family connections to Auburn. I think that's something to keep an eye on there. The other guys, Terry Godwin's been to Auburn a bunch, made a lot of visits over the years. But he's going to be one of those priority guys for Georgia. They've already lost a wide receiver in this class. They don't want to lose another one. So I think that was a little bit tougher. And then the Clemson guys are wild card guys. I think probably Ray McLeod, Auburn might have a little bit better shot at him than Deion Kane at the moment. But, in the end, I think it'd be a surprise if Auburn got either one of those guys, just on the short notice that we've got.
What about these late guys that have kind of come up here, popped up late? A guy like Kendrick Norton or Mike Horton?
Yeah, I think Kendrick Norton is a guy that I think is a possibility to sign as a defensive tackle. I think that's a guy that you look at a position that Auburn would like to have another guy in this class, and maybe not necessarily for 2015, but for 16 and beyond, building some depth there. So his teammates Jeff Holland, he's made a couple of visits up before. Auburn or Miami for Kendrick Norton, and I think Auburn's got a pretty good shot there.
Well, finally, Jason, it was announced that Auburn is exploring some options to upgrade Jordan-Hare Stadium. One being that this enormous, the biggest college football video board in college football. I don't know, to announce something like that, I think it's supposed to be voted on Friday if they're going to go ahead and go through with it. But, to announce it like that seems a little risky if they were to deny it. A lot of people's hopes are getting up pretty quick right now.
Yeah. Obviously, I think it's something they must feel pretty good about to talk about it and talk about that vote. And it could be a little bit of the court of public opinion too, trying to weigh it and see what people's thoughts would be. And I think they've probably got their answer. I think people would be pretty excited about an upgrade there. And, it's a start. We've talked about some of the things needing to be done. That's obviously one of the starts there. And with that, you'd have to have a different sound system. And I think everybody's saying they want to upgrade sound system and that experience. And that's one of the things you look at is a new video board and all those things involved with it.
Well, Jason, just kind of let us know how things get started tomorrow morning. How everything is going to get started at inside the Auburn Tigers.
Yeah, you can check us out at autigers.com. Great time to sign up and join. Obviously, with our $99 a year, you can get everything we do on the website, a magazine, and we're going to have newsletters. We have them throughout the year at different times. After every football game, spring practice, we have them, and we have a signing day newsletter as well. So you sign up for that tomorrow and get a newsletter in the email tomorrow night that updates you on the signing class. We do all that for $100 a year, and we'll start it up at midnight. 12:01 is our normal time to put up the first tidbit on our premium message board, our Tiger ticket board. Every year, Mark starts out 12:01, putting up the first nugget of information heading into signing day, and we'll get rolling at 5:45 or so in the morning and get it going.
We certainly all are looking forward to tomorrow. Jason, we can't thank you enough for joining us today.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
You do as well. Don't go anywhere. More Sports Call presented by Always Money right after this.
Source Natural Spring Water. Resource is 100% natural spring water with naturally occurring electrolytes that support a lifestyle of well-being. When you need to refresh, revitalize, and replenish, it's always Resource Natural Spring Water.
Welcome back, everyone, to Sports Call on this Tuesday afternoon. Andy and Randy here with you until 6 o'clock, taking your phone calls at 1-888-9-TIGER-9 toll-free or locally at 334-887-3401 on the AO Tourism hotline. I just caught up with Jason Caldwell from inside the Auburn Tigers, talking a lot about recruiting, how he feels about it. Again, I think everybody is pretty much in the same boat. There are recruiting experts out there that know everything about it, and there's Joe Blow on the street who knows nothing about it. And quite honestly, to try to read the mind of a 17, 18-year-old is quite literally impossible. To say that is unpredictable would be an understatement. There's no doubt about it. That's our question of the day, though. It revolves around that. It is signing day eve. When the dust settles tomorrow, where will Auburn finish in the recruiting rankings? Who will they land? Who will they miss out on? What's your opinion? Give us a call. 1-888-9-TIGER-9 toll-free locally at 334-887-3401. It was also a topic of conversation, and we've been talking about upgrades at Jordan-Hare Stadium for years now. We just it seemed like, what was it, 2007, 2006, 5, 6, 7? They put up the new scoreboard. It was like, state of the art. Now, of course, everybody complains about it, and it's old news. And it's come out now that Auburn is looking into building the biggest scoreboard in college football, and it would be operational for this year, this season, 2015. Expected cost of about $13.9 million. We're talking about a 200 feet wide scoreboard, about 55 to 57 feet tall. So an enormous scoreboard down there. But there's some renderings of it you can go look at. I would say it's 3 times as big as the scoreboard they have now.
It is, and it's something to see. If you haven't seen the photos, and we'll push that out on our social media, so maybe you can go out there and see it. It will be eye-catching. But it's kind of odd to me. And look, I'm not in the athletic department. I've said that about 40,000 times on this program, and will continue. But behind me, and I sit in section 43, is not the most updated scoreboard, to say the least. What year was that one put up?
46, maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't say the 70s, maybe the 80s, I guess. But yeah, it looks like a high school. I mean, it has some little nostalgia to it, really, because there's the tiger leaping symbols up there on it. But it's a turd. Let's be honest about it.
It's not a very good one. So, and the one that's up currently is still eye-catching to me now. Yeah, you won't get something 3 times as much. I mean,
it works.
I'm a male. I just look, any more's better as far as I'm concerned. But I love Jordan-Hare Stadium. I like the nostalgia of it. I like that it still has that same feel that it had when I was young and a kid. But it needs some upgrades. It needs some tender love and care. You can walk around there and pick out the flaws. And if you're going to keep up with the Joneses, maybe you don't. There's differing ways to look at that. You see the Oregons of the world that want to change their uniforms and change their entire look and take away the nostalgia. And then you've got, us, and I'll throw Alabama out there, some others, Penn States of the world, want to keep the same look. Or you got the Wrigley Fields out there. They want to keep that same feel as well. But then you get the new and improved stadiums. Where do you fall in, Andy? Do you like that it feels and looks the same as when you were a kid? Because that's pretty much what it does outside of some video boards.
Yeah, I do. I love it. And, I do believe that it does need some upgrades. I don't know exactly how I would do that. Certainly, I think the press box and all that, part of it probably needs to be redone a little bit. I know there was some talk maybe to use where the press box and everything is now, make that into priority seating, or, some skyboxes or whatever you want to call it, and then put build a new, press box and press row area in one of the end zones. But maybe that's happening. We're not talking about stadium expansion, at least at this point. We're just talking about upgrades to amenities and things of this nature. So it looks like that's on the roster. It is going to go before. Will be a vote Friday. So this is in the works. We'll kind of see how it all plays out. But the Fox Sports Report is coming up next. Randy and I'll be back with hour number 2 of Sports Call right after this.
Visit AuburnAquatics.com for more information or call 334-707-1980.
This segment of Sports Call is brought to you by Reinhardt Prattville, located on Cobb's Ford Road, 334-290-1992. Visit us online at ReinhardtPrattville.com. Reinhardt Prattville, we sell to sell again.
You better buckle your seatbelts because it's going to be a show to watch.
From Tiger Communications.
Jackson, touchdown.
For 20 years, East Alabama's sports talk leader.
Swing and drive, mountain right.
Sports Call.
Oh, what a dunk.
Call in now at 887-3401 or 1-888-9-TIGER-9 toll free.
Struck him out.
And now, coming to you live from the loveliest village on the plains, Sports Call.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sports Call on this Tuesday afternoon. Andy Graham and Randy Lee here with you until 6 o'clock, taking your phone calls at 1-888-9-TIGER-9 toll-free or locally at 334-887-3401 on the Auburn Opelika Tourism Hotline. Sports Call brought to you by Always Money and Auburn Urgent Care. We appreciate all that they do. We could not do this show without them. Been great sponsors for us now for about the last year, and we appreciate all that they offer. Again, a lot going on today. Talked with Jason Caldwell in the first hour, got caught up on everything recruiting. It is National Signing Day Eve. So much going on. Tomorrow it will start very early and be pretty hectic, I think, from the get-go there in the morning for Auburn University. Auburn with 21 commitments right now and so many high-profile prospects out there. Byron Cowart being the one I think that's going to lead the day tomorrow. He will announce at 8 a.m. there on ESPNU. That'll kind of start the day for Auburn. They'll know that they're either in really good shape or have some ground to make up on the defensive line. So we'll have to watch and see how all that goes. Our question of the day, when the dust settles, where will Auburn finish in the recruiting rankings tomorrow? I believe we have a phone call.
Yeah, let's go back to the phone lines. Matt, you're on Sports Call.
Hey, fellas, how y'all doing today?
Good to hear from you, Matt.
Yeah, I was got a question and a comment, but the question I think you answered it. You said our number one prospect is supposed to announce at 8 o'clock, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Well, that's maybe we'll get him. I'm not going to really get too much involved. The last few years seem like we've had our heart broken, so maybe he will. If he don't, then we'll be all right. But I wanted to ask y'all, I didn't get to listen to the first part because I was up here in LaGrange, and I didn't. Show was going in and out, but what did y'all think about the Super Bowl? I didn't get y'all's comments on that.
You know, I think a lot of the fan base around here, we didn't have a rooting interest out there, so you just cheer for a good football game. And if you like football and you didn't enjoy that Super Bowl, something's wrong with you. Andy did not give a pass to Pete Carroll. He said that it was one of the worst play calls in football history. He didn't even say NFL, one of the worst play calls in football history. And, I was more along the line of touting Tom Brady. It's unreal what he's pulled off, and he continues to move up the list. And if he does, like Andy says, wins one more Super Bowl, I think you can put him at the top of that list in quarterbacks.
Yeah, I like Tom Brady. I think he's a class act. I like the Patriots. I've been pulling for him for a few years now. And I was definitely pulling hard for him, and that was a really great game. I was really excited. I actually jumped up and cheered like it was the Iron Bowl whenever that guy made the interception. I just thought I thought the game was over with, not like a typical Iron Bowl for Auburn, thinking right of it, and all of a sudden we come back and win it, and that was great. But I just thought it was just a good ending to really wasn't a great football season college-wise, but it ended real great for me as far as being a Patriot fan. But I just thought it was karma coming back on Seattle, talking all that trash, I like Russell Wilson. I think he's the class act guy, but he's about the only one on that team I like. The rest of them, bunch of trash talkers. And I just thought it was great being that they was. And did y'all watch the whole game? Did y'all see during the national anthem when their sorry Classman fans booed? I know they were booing Bill Belichick, but you don't do that in the middle of the national anthem. The girls singing it, you don't know what they was booing at.
I don't even know if I don't even know if I paid attention to that, but I mean, that sounds, it seems to be down in the South, people give that a little, I don't know. That's just my perception of it, but it seems like people pay a little bit more attention. They seem to have a little bit more of a consciousness about it to be respectful during the national anthem as they do pretty much anywhere else in the United States. It just seems to be, like you said, I mean, they're not really definitely booing the national anthem, but they are booing during it. They don't really take it that seriously.
Yeah, and I think from here on out, the Super Bowl committee or whoever, they need to realize that, hey, there's dummies out there that's going to boo no matter what. Let's just not show pictures of the teams or players or nothing during the national anthem. Let's just show scenery or something. Because I had just watched American Sniper that Saturday night, and it was a great movie. And but anyway, I don't never really care about who sings the national anthem. You know, I mean, I consider myself patriotic, but I don't have to watch it. But my wife wanted to watch it because my little girl on the Frozen deal, you know, and all that. So, you know, we watch it, and then when they show Belichick and all, you know, I mean, there was more Seattle fans. It sounded like, and then when they booed. Yeah, I just thought that was pretty sorry. And then the way they talked trash during the game and thought they had it going, it was a great ending to a great football season. And I don't really like Pete Carroll, but I think I kind of feel bad for him because, you know, everybody's a Monday morning quarterback now. You know, if the boy makes the catch and they score the touchdown, Pete Carroll's a genius for calling a pass play when everybody in the world thought they were going to run it. So, you know, hindsight 2020, but, you know, New England won that game. They were the better team, and you know, Seattle, they had their chances to put them away, but they didn't. So I was well pleased with the way it turned out. But anyway, yeah, I appreciate y'all taking my call, man. Y'all do a great job, and definitely be listening to more. And I hope I'm gonna be somewhere in service where I can. Please hear y'all's thoughts on it. Hopefully we'll get all the recruits that we want. Y'all have a good evening, man, and I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for the phone call, Matt. Back to the phone line. Scott, you're on Sports Call.
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Good to hear from you, Scott.
Yeah, good to hear from y'all as well. I wanted to see if you guys have talked about this. I'm not sure if you have, but today there was a pretty interesting article on AL.com about the Bama Boost and what happens when a recruit is offered by Alabama, or if they commit to Alabama, they receive a little boost in their recruiting rankings. And I wanted to see if you guys thought there was any validity to some of the claims that are out there about Alabama and their recruiting.
I'll say this. I think that with the success that they've had on the field, I'm no Bammer by no stretch of the imagination, but the success that they've had on the field and the success that they've had recruiting great players that have moved on to the pros, I don't want to give any validity to what they're doing there, but it is – look, if you've watched recruiting over the years, you can automatically say that a 3-star that's given a nod by Alabama is going to move up to a 4-star. You can go ahead and watch it. So, I mean, did I answer your question, Scott, or am I a little bit more confused than when I started?
No, I mean, that's kind of where I'm thinking about it. You have to – I think they get the benefit of the doubt a lot of times. You see it, but there was a – 4-star guy, I think this year, the article alluded to, a 4-star commit was actually moved down to a 3-star. But for the most part, over the last 6-7 years, at least since Saban has been there, it appears that if a guy's on the fringe, or if Saban alluded to it, said that, you know, it could be that it is some truth to it, but not necessarily at Alabama, but schools in general that are top-tier programs. And so the article went on to mention that it happened when Pete Carroll was at USC, and then it happened at Notre Dame, and when Urban Meyer was at Florida. So top-tier programs tend to get the benefit of the doubt. But it sure does seem that a lot of times if a guy's on the edge, they get the bump at Alabama, or if somebody is 5-star and they commit to Auburn, sometimes they go to a 4-star. So it is a little telling there in how things go down.
Scott, thanks so much for the phone call. We'll pull that article up on AL.com, push it out on our social media, and that's a good segue for you to find us on social media. Sportscall AU on Twitter. We're on Facebook as well, but Twitter's a great place for you to send along questions to us, interact with us there throughout the week, and we'll pass it along here on the program.
Yeah, and we'll take your phone calls. 1-888-9-TIGER-9 toll free, locally at 334-887-3401 on the AO Tourism Hotline. Up against our first break here, but don't go anywhere. There's more Sports Call presented by Always Money right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tuesday edition of Sports Call. Andy and Randy here with you for about 40 more minutes or so, taking your phone calls at 1-888-9-TIGER-9 toll free or locally at 334-887-3401. And we'll go to the AO Tourism Hotline.
Skippy, you're on Sports Call.
Yeah, hey guys, how y'all today?
Good to hear from you.
Yes, sir. I got a question for you guys. We got this kid out of, I think it's Edgewood Academy over there that Auburn's been looking at. Where are we standing with that guy?
He committed today. So Prince Tega, yeah, we got him today. 21st commitment on the list for Auburn, and he's about 6'7", 235, 240 pounds. Did have a leg injury. I don't know if you heard that, but had a leg injury during basketball this season. So he'll be fighting through that, but an outstanding athlete that's only played football or been around football for the last 6 or 7 months. So we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, man. I just have tuned into your show. I missed that part of your segment, I guess. But I was just wondering because I was watching the news last night, and his high school football coach said the guy never even heard of Nick Saban or any of all this about Alabama. I just felt like they may have been pushing him toward Alabama, his high school coaches. So that's good to hear. That's great news for Auburn. Good deal. Thank you, guys.
Skippy, thanks so much for the phone call. 888-9-TIGER-9, 334-887-3401. Good get. High talent, just came onto the recruiting scene very late. He was originally listed as a 2016 prospect, then changed it back to 2015, about a month ago, Andy?
I think so.
And so, a lot of the teams, they were swarming around to try to decide, do we want to extend an offer to this guy? We know that we thought we had a year to check him out and to make that determination. But in a quick turn, a lot of teams drew a lot of interest. Then he had the leg injury. But I'm proud of Auburn. I'm proud of the other programs that held that offer out there outside of that leg injury.
Shockingly, Nick Saban not well known in Nigeria. Who would have thought? I would have thought he was popular everywhere. But, a guy that we're talking about raw talent. He was going to be a guy that Auburn was probably going to redshirt regardless if he had an injury or not. But he is a massive talent. I mean, a guy that has come in and you have hardly any film on at all, a guy that has not played football, but, like you said, this is the first year he's ever even seen a football game, much less played in one, and they already list him as a 4-star recruit. So he just an incredible athlete.
Bama boost.
Absolutely, it exists. There's no question about it. But recruiting rankings, you mentioned at the beginning of the show, and there are a lot of people out there that love recruiting. I'm not one of them. I just don't. I don't enjoy it. I have to keep up with it now because of what we do. But and I'm not complaining. But it's just not something that I enjoy. But I do keep up with it. I don't think there's any question. Now, has Alabama probably earned that right with the success they've had the last 7 years? Probably so. If Nick Saban does scout a guy and say, this guy's the guy we want, he probably is a 4-star. He probably is a good player. So he may deserve that extra star. But yes, absolutely, they get a bump. If Tom Luganville says they get a bump, and he says he got no dog in the fight. If he says that, absolutely, yeah. I agree with it.
I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. I think it's probably deserved. And look, a lot of the teams, and Auburn's becoming one of those teams. When you finish top 5, 7, 8 in recruiting year in and year out, and Auburn's been there. I don't know what our average is, but I'd say in the last 5 or 6 years, we've averaged, 5 to 7 in ending in recruiting. So then I think that you have to look over and see which one of those recruits have you brought in and sent to the NFL. And that's where Auburn has had some success, but hopefully in the years to come, we'll have a lot more success. You did a great job here. And for those of you that are riding around listening, we'd love to hear from you. 888-9-TIGER-9, 334-887-3401. But you've got this Auburn roster breakdown for 2014 and 15. Which position, and we'll try to run down some of these positions, but just starting, Andy, which one jumps out as a real problem area for Auburn next year?
Well, defensive line. I mean, we bring a lot of guys back, but, a lot of not a lot of production. You lose Gabe Wright, you lose Angelo Blackson, Ben Bradley, Jeff Whitaker, Ladarius Owens. None of those guys were world beaters. Some of them were supposed to be, but I don't think it ever materialized into that. And you look at who Auburn brings back, Montrevious Adams, a guy with a lot of potential, but has still got some work to do. Gilmore President has never really been able to really make a huge dent. Carl Lawson, a guy that's coming back, that he's got a lot of promise. Rasheed Kenyon's got a lot of promise. Andrew Williams got some promise. Devontae Lambert showed that he may be the most important guy that we do bring back. Justin Thornton, he's got a lot of promise. Devereaux Lawrence didn't really do much this year. Dontavius Russell, they feel really good about. A lot promise. Elijah Daniel has never, he's been solid, but he hasn't been great. And Kamia Harrell, I'm not sure his career will continue on. He's just had so many. He's that guy that in every class, it seems like Auburn has one guy that just cannot get off the injury bug. Every time he turns around, he's got an injury. So, defensive line, that's why we keep talking about Byron Cowart and C.C. Jefferson and Terry Beckner and Prince Tega. Auburn needs some impact players on the defensive line. And, if Auburn has a really big day tomorrow, I think everybody should be really, really happy. But if Auburn doesn't have a big day tomorrow, there's some significant questions that are going to have to be answered next year.
Yeah, I'll say this. I'm somewhat skeptical, and maybe that's just me going into the final day, and we'll just see. And I guess that's the fun part of it. But when you got these Florida guys that are Florida fans and you're trying to sway them there at the end and things look good for you, it still makes me worry. Something tells me we're going to jump out there and pull one in that we're not thinking about, but I'm hoping that we're able to sway Byron Cowart our way. But I'd say it's 50-50 at best. I think Jason Caldwell said that in the first hour, didn't he?
He did. That it was all a lot of people. And again, what are these people basing this on? They say, well, he's leaning toward Auburn. 2 weeks ago. Now they say he's leaning toward Florida. Why? Well, I mean, I think he's probably told Florida and Auburn both, I'm coming. I'll be there. You've got my signature. So I think both coaching staffs feel great about it. And somebody's going to be very disappointed.
They definitely are. 888-9-TIGER-9, 334-887-3401. I'll agree with you. I see and I look through this defensive line, and there's some really good talent there, and then there's some that I'm not sure if they'll ever see any time. And so far, you've got Johnson that we've got recruited in, had him a 3-star kid from Lincoln High School, had him for a long time, Maurice Swain, coming in later on. There's just not a lot of depth there in a position and a need position for Auburn moving into next year. Offensive line, that's another one that's really questionable to me. You only lose 2 guys, Reese Dismukes and Chad Slade, but you bring in
Patrick Miller. I forgot to put in. Well, he of course, when I did this, he had not gone pro, but we lost him as well.
I guess that when I look through the ones that we bring in, Tyler Carr would be the first one that I think has a chance to get some playing time pretty quickly, but it may be a little while. Let's quickly go back to the phone line before we go to break. It's Blair. You're on Sports Call.
Hello?
Yeah, Blair, you're on the line.
Hey, guys. How you are?
Good to hear from you.
Same here. I just wanted to change the subject just for a second and go to basketball for a minute and ask you guys this question and see what you all think about it. Since there's been so much talk about Anthony Grant at Alabama and Bruce Pearl at Auburn, as far as the coaching goes with the talent, what do you guys think about, or what would your opinion be if you could reverse this thing and put Bruce Pearl at Alabama and Anthony Grant at Auburn? What would you think Bruce Pearl's record would be at Alabama? Of course, I'm an Auburn man, but that's a couple of questions I have thrown at the Alabama fans, but yet still they kind of downplayed it a little bit. But do you think that Bruce Pearl would have a much better record at Alabama, coaching there with the talent there that he has at Auburn?
I think they'd probably have a winning record in the SEC this year. I don't know if they'd be, they certainly wouldn't be, ahead of Kentucky or anything, but not sure anybody else would either. But I think he'd win a couple more games. He'd have won certainly a couple more of those games that Alabama lost down the stretch. I do think Alabama right now is a much more talented team than Auburn. I don't think there's any question about that.
Right. That's what I was thinking, because I really think that Auburn has really not did a super duper job. I mean, Bruce Pearl has did a super duper job at Auburn, but I think he has done better than what I anticipated him to do with the talent level that he has. And hopefully within the next couple of years, with a couple of good recruits each year and build on, I think we could have a successful basketball program started.
Yeah, we could have been doing a little bit better this year. I mean, you look back at that Texas Tech win. Texas Tech lost on the road. Auburn had a great chance to win that game. You look at the Coastal Carolina game in Auburn. Auburn was up by, I think, 14 in that game and ended up blowing it down the stretch. That's 2 wins. That could really have gone a long way in helping Auburn have a winning season this year. And, you look at, some of the games down the stretch, the Alabama game, Auburn is definitely, I think, playing better fundamentally this year. There are some breakdowns here or there, but to me, just taking the record away, I definitely see some progress in this team and see that the future is definitely brighter than it has been. But this, there are a lot of wins that are games that you look back on this year that you could say we have kind of let slip away.
Yeah. And as far as talk about what's his name, Prince Tager, I believe.
Yes.
I think this guy is coming in at a terrific time because he's going to be introduced to football at a collegiate level and really not as so much as a high school level, especially the level that that he play on right now. I'm not saying that it's not a good level of competition football, but I'm just saying, I don't see these guys with these, that successful against 6 and 7, 8 high schools across the state of Alabama if they was playing on that level. But I really think this guy would exceed coming in at this stage of, a level of football because he's going to learn at that level. So I think he's going to pay great dividends for him.
Blair, we appreciate the phone call this afternoon.
All right.
Thank you so much. 888-9-TIGER-9, 334-887-3401.
Yeah, up against a break, but don't go anywhere. More Sports Call presented by Auburn Urgent Care right after this.
Pepper. Here's to a one-of-a-kind Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper is a proud sponsor of the College Football Playoff. Dr. Pepper, always one of a kind.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Tuesday edition of Sports Call. Andy Graham and Randy Lee here with you for another 30 minutes or so, taking your phone calls at 1-888-9-TIGER-9, toll-free, or locally at 334-887-3401 on the AO Tourism Hotline. Again, we talked a lot about recruiting today. If you still got any comments on that or questions about that, we'd love to hear from you. Give us a call. Talked a lot about the Super Bowl in the first hour and in the second hour. Tremendous game. We'll kind of put that, it's hard to believe the football season is finally over.
Andy, before we move on during this segment, Jason Caldwell called in first hour. I get a lot of calls saying, I don't get to hear you the first hour. So can you give everybody a kind of a brief rundown of what Jason Caldwell with Inside the Auburn Tigers said in the first hour?
Yeah, just talked about, what a big day tomorrow is for Auburn and kind of the excitement surrounding it. He's been doing this for quite a while. And he said, this is one of the more exciting days that he can remember, or the buildup and the possibility of it. Auburn being and I don't really remember, Auburn has landed some big fish over the years, but I don't remember a signing day where Auburn was in on so many five-star recruits. There were going to be so many announcements where it was down to Auburn and one other team. And Auburn really had a chance to get them. So he just talked about how the excitement level and how big of a day it can be for Auburn. Talked about Prince Tega Jr. And his commitment to Auburn. I think it came down to just a comfort level with Auburn. He, obviously he hasn't been in this country for too terribly long. He hasn't only played football 1 year, so his ability, his projection to the next level is pretty high. They think that of course he is raw, but and he did break his leg in a basketball game, and he's recovering, and hopefully, he'll be good to go next year. They'll probably redshirt him regardless, but his potential is sky high, and he just talked about that. And the guys, Jason's a pretty, he's going to keep it close to the best. So, he really just talked about how the importance of what we talked about, the importance of the defensive line recruits. Byron Coward, everybody kind of has gone back and forth on him. Jason pretty much is talked about him and Martez Ivy being, 50-50 pretty much. It's down to Auburn and Florida, although Florida State may still be a minor factor in the Byron Coward sweepstakes. But, he talked about Terry Godwin and Auburn is in on several receivers, but Ryan Davis, the one from Florida, was the one that he seemed to be the highest on, and I thought Auburn had the biggest chance on. So, this whole package deal that was going around about Coward and Jefferson and Jeff Holland, he said it's interesting that it's the way that it's set up. You have Byron Coward first, and then you have Holland, and then you have Jefferson later on. If Byron Coward and Jeff Holland both choose Auburn, and let's just say Martez Ivy chooses Auburn, Ryan Davis chooses Auburn, you got C.C. Jefferson down there from Florida saying, well, the tide is, so to speak, rolling in toward Jordan-Hare Stadium. I'll just ride it on along with them. So I think it's pretty important, those first couple of guys early in the morning for Auburn. So they could create a wave of momentum that maybe these other recruits get caught up in.
Let's run down these announcement times starting at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Byron Coward, that one will be on ESPNU. As you move down to the other players that have Auburn as a potential, Terry Beckner, the defensive lineman, that's at 9 a.m. Ryan Davis as well, that one's at 9 a.m. And Carlton Davis, the cornerback between Auburn and Ohio State, that one will be at 9 a.m. The only one of those three will be Terry Beckner, which will be on ESPNU at 9 a.m. The others will not be televised. Martez Ivy comes up at 10 a.m. It's on ESPNU also. So many of these players, which makes tomorrow a fun time to be an Auburn Tiger. C.C. Jefferson, the defensive end, is at 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. I think that closes out the ones that are in on Auburn. But that's a lot of players, and a lot of players coming down to the end of signing period. And how much of a difference does this new coaching staff with Will Muschamp, how much of a difference do they make? And you're kind of lucky that there's that many good players still sitting out there late if Auburn's able to close on any of them.
Yeah, well, we often talk about it. Do guys commit to schools or do they commit to coaches? I think we'll find out tomorrow because there's a lot of these guys. The only reason they're looking at Auburn as hard as they are is because of Will Muschamp and because of their relationship with some of the assistant coaches. So, is it going to be let's choose the old home state school or the relationship with the coach? We'll find out tomorrow.
Big storyline. Back to the phone lines. Matt, you're on Sports Call.
Hey, guys, I appreciate y'all taking me back. I got a comment because y'all I meant to call yesterday. Well, I did call yesterday, but I didn't ever get on, but because I got dropped. But anyway, the guy you were talking about, the commit from Florida, it's Ryan Davis. He's a receiver, right?
He is.
Okay, where else is he talking about, or who's it between? The Clemson?
Pretty much Auburn and Florida.
Okay, do we have a recruit that's a receiver that got Clemson in the mix?
Yeah, we had two Clemson commits actually visit Auburn. Really, they kept this quiet. I don't know how in the world they kept this quiet as long as they did. Deion Kane and Ray McLeod were their names.
Okay, it may have been the Kane guy. Okay, here's my story. Which recruits was in this weekend? Because the reason I say that is because I met the recruit.
Deion Kane and Ray McLeod were in this weekend.
Okay, which one's the receiver?
Both of them are, I believe.
Are both of them Clemson? Also got Clemson?
Yes.
Okay, and what did you say the last name was? It's Kane and who?
McLeod.
I believe it was the Kane guy then. Kind of a skinny guy, tall, skinny.
That's he
Either
is.
way.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. All right, well, here's the story. This past weekend, so I'm not going to say where it was at, but it was in a restaurant. We was, me and my wife, my little girl were eating. And I'm not even going to give out no more information than I have to. But put it this way, the three recruits come in with an assistant coach. And like I said, I don't want to mess nothing up. But anyway, they were sitting down eating right behind us. I mean, I can turn around and touch the assistant coach I'm not going to name. Okay. I get up to go to the bathroom. I get up at the same time that the recruit does. And I knew who he was. I knew he was the recruit. And I was talking to him in the bathroom. I said, so where are you from? He said, Florida. And he said, I'm up here on a visit. And, he was talking about he's leading Clemson. And I kind of said, well, I'm going to do my free services for Auburn. So I started talking to him about it. I was like, hey, man, we're going to have a great quarterback coming in. Well, he's already in. Our quarterback is probably going to be starting. He's a prototypical NFL quarterback. He puts the ball on the money. I mean, I was recruiting the guy for Auburn, But anyway, he seems to – the feel that I got from him was that he still leaned more Clemson, but he liked Auburn. But I told him, good luck, whatever you decide. But, I don't know about Clemson, but I know that Auburn got a good secret. When I didn't say a secret, but I said, I think we got the best quarterback coming in next year. It's going to be starting. And that's something to think about. A great quarterback makes the receiver look even better. So he'll probably still go to Clemson, but if he goes to Auburn, I want to feel like maybe I closed the door on him.
Well, Matt, good story there, buddy. We appreciate the phone call. 888-9-TIGER-9 334-887-3401. That's what we do. Don't you have to try to close the deal?
Matt the closer.
Matt the closer. That's a good point. And you brought up Ryan Davis, and it is, as you look down through that, and I think Ryan Davis is at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, down to Alabama, Auburn, Michigan, and Florida. So did you have Auburn and Florida
Michigan
there?
Trying to get in late on him. So, that's probably a long shot. But Yeah, I think Auburn and Florida are his two mainstays.
And I had a hard time. I missed a portion of Jason Caldwell's talk. And how many does he think Auburn takes? Well, we're up to 21 commits now, 6 or 7
it's
more.
Still 27, 28.
Okay.
If you get everybody you want, I think it's 28. I think they'd make room for it. So
that's a big day. A third of your recruits coming in tomorrow, or a fourth of them. That's going to be a big day tomorrow, to say the least, Andy.
No doubt about it. Up against our final break here, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back with one more segment of the Tuesday Sports Call right after this.
With naturally occurring electrolytes that support a lifestyle of well-being. When you need to refresh, revitalize, and replenish, it's always Resource Natural Spring Water.
Welcome back, everyone, to the final segment of the Tuesday Sports Call. Andy and Randy taking you home to 6 o'clock here. Still time to get that last phone call in, 1-888-9-TIGER-9 toll-free or locally at 334-887-3401. And we'll go back to the AO Tourism Hotline.
David, you're on Sports Call.
Yes, I was wondering if somebody to comment on the Nick Marshall, how the way he swapped over the defense. I didn't get the chance to watch the Senior Bowl or hear any comments or anything on it. I was just wondering how he did on there, and I'll hang up and listen.
I think he turned a lot of heads. He had 5 tackles in the ball game. To be able to quick turn like that, a lot of the scouts thought he was coming in to play quarterback. First day he ends up down there. He moves to the secondary. And I don't think there's any question in anybody's mind the athleticism of Nick Marshall. And he opened up, as you heard Phil Savage say on the programs, he opened up his opportunity for 32 teams rather than a few through the quarterback. So I don't think he hurt himself whatsoever in the Senior Bowl, did he, Andy?
No, we had Phil Savage on Sports Call, and he talked about how he's – I think the NFL teams are looking at him kind of salivating because he's the speed that he has, and he's at 205 pounds. I think they would like to maybe see him drop 10 pounds and see him play at about 195. And it's kind of similar to the Prince Tagovailoa situation in that people are looking at him and saying, man, his potential is really, there's hardly any cap on it. So we know that he hasn't played cornerback in 3 years. And if he can play this well in just 3 or 4 practices, we feel like maybe he's worth taking a chance on.
And look, who am I to say? I'm no scout whatsoever, but he is so good with the ball in his hands that I would love to see him at a slot receiver or get an opportunity at a receiver. Am I wrong, Andy?
No.
You'd just love to see a guy that's able to make plays with the ball in his hands like him have an opportunity, even if it's not at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I mean, he could return. He could be a special teams guy. Certainly he could cover kicks. He's going to have a role in the NFL. Is it going to be starting at corner? I don't know. It's probably too soon to tell at this point. But Nick Marshall, with his athleticism and his drive, he's a guy that wanted to play quarterback, and earned that right to do so and worked at it and worked extremely hard at it. He's a guy that's going to give, the kind of effort that it takes to be successful in the NFL. So, I think Nick Marshall's going to be fine. And I see him having a pretty long career in the NFL.
Johnny Manziel. It's a tough story to read, and I guess that if there's ever a time for you to reach out and need some assistance, that he's picked the right time to do it. But did you see it? I guess you had to kind of see it coming, but I didn't realize that it was a true issue until I saw this morning.
Yeah, it's in our world today, you kind of, I guess, have to be skeptical about things like this. Is he doing it for public perception, or is he doing it because he really does? Because I think it's clear that he has a problem. But you hope he gets it. You hope he gets it all worked out. You hope the best for him. He was so much fun to watch in college. He was a nightmare to play against, but he was so much fun to watch when your team wasn't going up against Texas A&M. So I hope he does. Get himself straight. So but you can't. The way that he came into the NFL, he said, "Look, I'm not changing for anybody. I'm going to go out and do what I want to do." You knew that was going to last about 10 minutes, and it did. So, his first season really in the NFL was a disaster. You saw what he did on the field, and it was terrible, basically. So, he really doesn't have anywhere to go but up from here. But, again, if this is all authentic and he's sincere about it, then I hope first and foremost he gets himself right, and then football, we'll see what happens.
Let's close out talking about Auburn. Big recruiting. It's recruiting eve. It is pretty much like a holiday. We had a question of the day. I know I got a couple of buddies that are taking off tomorrow to watch all of the ESPNU. They wouldn't get a chance at work. They got free days, and so they're taking it. Look, I'm not one to judge, and it's funny where this has gone over the years, but if enjoyment by watching kids and now it's on television is what you're looking for, you want to be an Auburn fan tomorrow, because we've got 6 potentials that we'll be announcing. Not all of them on ESPNU, but quite a few are, Andy.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to be either an enormous day for Auburn or it's going to be a very disappointing day. And it's going to kick off very early in the morning. I think Auburn will know where they stand right off the bat. Like I said, I think Byron Cowart is kind of the linchpin of this whole thing. If he chooses Auburn, then I think it's going to be a really, really good day for Auburn.
Let's run this down real quick as we close out the program. Byron Cowart first tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. You can check that one out on ESPNU. Terry Beckner is next, 9 a.m. That one will be on ESPNU. Ryan Davis and Carlton Davis are at 9 a.m. also. Neither one of those are on ESPNU, but trust me, you'll get all the coverage that you want on those as well. Martez Ivy, another big one, 10 a.m., ESPNU, down to Florida and Auburn, just like Byron Cowart is. As we close out the day, C.C. Jefferson will be at 1 p.m. Got about 5 or 6 teams sitting there in the mix. I hear Ole Miss's name more than the others, but that one will be on ESPNU also. So should be a fun day, Andy.
Yeah, and you never know. The decisions of others could affect how a lot of these other guys choose as the day goes on. So, I don't know if there's ever seen a day that Auburn was in so many guys that I'm not even sure they know, even right now. It may be a game time decision, so to speak. So, it should be fun tomorrow. Punxsutawney Phil said 6 more weeks of winter. I think Larry from Wisconsin, the groundhog, he said it was going to be an early spring, but he bit the mayor's ear, so I'm not sure he could be trusted. But whether it's spring or more winter, signing day is going to happen tomorrow.
It definitely is. And you can tune us in tomorrow afternoon from 4 to 6. We'll have coverage from all of the signees that we're able to get and the remainder of the class that Auburn has here. Sportscall AU is where you can find us on Twitter throughout the day tomorrow. We'll pass along information and comments from us. Sports Blitz up tonight. You can tune that one in on Charter Channel 80 statewide through the Charter Network, and we've got a lot of great guests coming up there, and we'll continue this discussion. We'll move the recruiting discussion from Sportscall over on that end, Andy.
Yeah, really looking forward to tomorrow. It should be a very interesting show. Get your phone calls in about what the Auburn, we'll know when Sportscall is on how Auburn did. So a lot to talk about tomorrow. We'll be back on the air from 4 to 6. For Randy Lee, I'm Andy Graham saying so long for now. We'll talk again soon.